Hi, it's Mary. I hope that you are doing well. And I want to thank you for joining me today because it is our third book review video. And today's book is young adult contemporary fiction, and the title is 5 Feet Apart. So 5 Feet Apart is about two teens dealing with one disease. So before I get started reviewing the book, I just want to talk a little bit about the disease that they are dealing with, and that is cystic fibrosis. So I don't know how much you know about cystic fibrosis. It's a genetic disorder that causes persistent lung infections and limits the ability to breathe over time. So in the lungs, the mucus clogs the air passages and traps germs, like bacteria, leading to infections, inflammation, respiratory failure, and other complications. For this reason, people who are living with cystic fibrosis need to do some things that we are pretty familiar with lately. They need to wear masks, they need to wear gloves, and they need to use plenty of hand sanitizer to protect them from the spread of germs. So in 5 Feet Apart, Stella and Will meet in the hospital where they are both being treated for complications from cystic fibrosis. Stella's lung capacity is decreasing. She is in the hospital for help dealing with that and also awaiting a lung transplant. Will has a lung infection that has compromised his ability to have a lung transplant, but he's also receiving an experimental treatment to help him deal with that infection. If Will's infection were to spread to Stella, she would also end up being ineligible for a lung transplant. So in addition to dealing with their disease, they have other challenges in their life. Each is dealing with family issues and other issues. When they first encounter one another, they get off to a rocky start. As they learn more about one another, each begins to understand the other as a person and a friend. They help one another navigate the terrain between being safe and living a full life. Things that stand out to me about this book: the very real portrayal of living with cystic fibrosis. So I very much like when a book can give me an accurate representation of what it's like to live in a certain situation or with a certain disease. I also like when it helps me understand on multiple levels what it's like for a person in that situation. As Stella and Will move through the book, we better understand how their lives are affected by cystic fibrosis on a day-to-day basis and in bigger ways. The characters are definitely not victims. They are real and multifaceted. Stella, in addition to dealing with her disease, created an app to help her manage her health. She also has moments where she's trying to be a good friend while also dealing with feelings of being left out. Because of COVID-19, I think it's easier for us as readers to relate to some of the difficulties related to having to make sure you're wearing masks all the time and make sure you're staying 6 feet away from somebody and ensuring that you are staying healthy and not spreading diseases to others. So this is the part of the video where I make suggestions for other books if you liked 5 Feet Apart, or if you like these other books, you might want to consider 5 Feet Apart. And the first book I thought of when reading 5 Feet Apart was, and this is probably not going to surprise anybody, but The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. So both books involve a friendship being formed between two people dealing with a medical condition. In The Fault in Our Stars, both characters are dealing with cancer, while in 5 Feet Apart, as we know, they are dealing with cystic fibrosis. The stories are both different, but both books have central to the story two characters that we end up really caring about. Another book involving the early days of a friendship where the friendship is in jeopardy, and this time not because of an illness or medical condition, but because of another factor, is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. It is also very well written and thought-provoking. There's a title that will soon be released by two of the authors of 5 Feet Apart, Rachel Lippincott and Mickey Daughtry. I have a photocopy of the cover, and that is All This Time. And All This Time deals with a character who is in a car accident and ends up having to deal with a brain injury after that. So you might be asking, what's next? So my next book is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. And I actually have not started reading this one yet. I'm very excited, and I'm going to get started right away. It'll take me about a week to a week and a half to finish, and then we will post our next book review video. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy whatever you choose to read.